Welcome back, folks, to Special Projects Pack number 4 for the second build, of course. This time, a vehicle which I actually made the livery for a change, and it's a vehicle which was fairly obscure. I found it while searching for a potential E-Type to do a build on. It's chassis number 860756, which is a semi-lightweight coupe, a 3.8 litre model with that more fastback design, which you don't tend to think of as much for racing E-Types. It tends to be more the MX-5 kind of style, open-top version of an E-Type that's turned into a lightweight coupe. Now, this particular one actually has the real number plate of the car, which I'm quite proud of, turned it into a decal, and the one change that I've made compared to the real thing, to be honest, was unintentional. Because I thought the real car was British Racing Green. I am partially colourblind, red-green, wouldn't you know it. So I thought the car was British Racing Green when I saw the images of it online. Turns out it's actually gunmetal, but I fitted British Racing Green, and I'm just keeping it that way because I think it looks pretty good anyway. So as far as the upgrades, because of course you can click the link down below if you want to add the livery that I've done, or you could go for somebody else's if you want to do a different kind of design. But for the actual parts, I'm running with the kind of specs that I could find for it online, about 330 horses, 1025 kilos, which are pretty damn good numbers for a slightly less known E-Type racer. So you want your stage 1 weight reduction. Of course, it comes with the comfort medium tyres anyway. We've got the power restrictor and the ballast fitted, stage 2 weight as well. As far as the semi-race, you want your crank, the fully customised computer, of course the diff. I've opted to increase the rigidity on the body, stage 3 weight as well. For the racing stuff, we have, of course, the silencer, the filter, the manifold, pads, and the drilled discs. Like I always say, it doesn't really matter what brakes you go for. You could go for slotted, drilled, or even the ceramics under the extreme section. For the clutch and flywheel, we have opted for racing, of course. The fully customised suspension, naturally. I've actually not fitted an upgraded transmission though. You probably will want to do that really, but I wanted it to feel kind of not as good. I wanted it to feel old-fashioned. So the top-end speed is nowhere near as good as it could be, but it kind of feels more like that classic gearbox to just leave the standard one in there. So if you want to actually use it for competition, then I would recommend fitting that one. This is just if you want it as a novelty tune. So, take it either way, depending on what you plan to use it for. And of course, we've gone for racing hard tyres, and then nothing under the extreme section. So as far as then the tuning side of things, if we jump back into the garage, it's not a crazy build to do anyway. It's not like it's some, Hellcat level E-Type, but it's not slow, that's for sure. Now, as far as the actual settings for the suspension, I've got 100mm on the ride height, so it's not as low as it can go, but it is lower. We've got 5 on anti-roll, 36 for compression on the dampers, 42 for the rebound, 3.05 for the springs, so hardened up quite a bit there. 2 degrees of camber, 0.10 toe out on the front, 0.20 toe in on the rear. As far as the diff, I've gone for 10, 30 and 20. The diff, of course, very much so changes a car's personality. So give it a try. If you don't like it, if you find it too tail happy for your particular needs, of course, feel free to mess around or combine it with something you already like, make kind of a Frankenstein build. Like I said, I haven't fitted the transmission. As far as the ballast, you do want 11 kilos. I've put that all the way to the rear to give us a nice 49-51 split. The ECU and the power restrictor are not touched, likewise with the downforce, and for all of this stuff here, you can see all the stuff which I already said we'd fitted. So it's a pretty simple tune. The point level is fairly high for what you might expect, around 625, 630 kind of region is pretty hefty for an E-Type. So of course, naturally what you want to see is what can it do in practice. So if we jump over to Goodwood to find out, like I said, this is designed to be one of those builds which is more like a nostalgia kind of thing. I really wanted it to look and feel like the kind of car that you could see popping up in a random update in the Haggerty collection. And to me, it kind of does feel like that. It's not the quickest thing around. It's not necessarily the most forgiving, even though I will say it's not really difficult to drive. You can definitely get the tail out, but again, it kind of adds to the flair. It looks like the kind of racing footage that you'd see at the Goodwood revival with them getting the tail out on these old E-Types. And I have to say, it's probably one of my personal favourites of this pack. Not to say so myself, because it's a more obscure car, but at the same time, I could definitely see this being the kind of random car that Kaz would give like a GT award to, a Pebble Beach, that kind of machine. So, more of a novelty build, but you could use it for racing if you wanted to, especially if you fit, of course, the race transmission, maybe slightly lesser tyres to get it into a lower level event. But either way, I hope you have a ton of fun with it, of course. and obviously stick around on the channel for more builds in the coming week from pack number 4. But for now, as always, thanks for watching.